Good morning everyone. My name is Dr. Daisy Bhattacharjee from the Department of Sociology, Pandit Dindayal Upadhyay, Adarsh Mahavidyalay, Erralikul, Assam. And today in this e-content video, I am going to speak on Karl Marx and his conflict theory. Now, conflict theory, as we all know, was developed by Karl Marx, who was a German philosopher, economist, political scientist, sociologist. In his theory, he says that society is in a state of perpetual conflict because of competition between the two different classes, haves and have-nots, for limited resources available. Our social order is maintained by domination and power rather than by consensus and conformity. So, according to conflict theory, those who have wealth and power, they try to hold on to it by any means possible, chiefly by suppressing the poor and powerless. Now, he said that this has been going on throughout our history in different modes of production. So there was a time when there were masters and slaves. Before that, there was primitive communism where everything was owned by everyone. So there was no concept of private property. But after that, there came masters and slaves, and then eventually in feudal system we can see there were lords and serfs, and then came the capitalist system, which he primarily focused on. In capitalist system, he said there are two classes. One is the bourgeois class and the working class, that is the proletariats. Now, bourgeois, they have profit, they have their mindset is set into profit making, and they have wealth. They are the owner of land, capital and organization. Whereas the proletariats, they only have labor. They are poor, they do not have much, they can only sell that labor in exchange for minimum wages. Now, in this system, he said that every working class member, they go through an alienation system. They're alienated from their own labor, from their own creativity, from their own product, from their own people and self. So they realize that they are being some way suppressed. However, that class consciousness is often it is class in itself, but that has to shift to class for itself. So every individual has to come to the realization that they are not individually facing this suppression. It is done throughout the entire class. Several members of the class go through the same process of oppression. And when that realization sets in, that class consciousness would come up, then that shift would lead to a kind of revolution, the class revolution, the class conflict, which will bring them together. There will be a violent revolution which will ultimately throw that capitalist system and bring a socialist system into place where this private ownership concept will cease to exist. Everything will be state owned, and eventually that will slowly give way to communism. So we will revert back to a kind of communism which we can see in the very first stage, that is primitive communism, where nothing will be owned by everyone, will be anyone, and everything will be owned by everyone. So his class conflict theory, in short, gives us an idea of how Karl Marx thinks the society can be an utopian kind of, in a utopian state. Thank you.